Hey guys, what's up? It is me, Danielle here. Welcome back to my channel. So for today, we are actually going to be breaking down the first episode of Season 2 of The Gifted. The episode is titled E-Mergence. So make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoy it in order to support my channel as a whole. And of course, you can subscribe to the channel if you are new. Now, the first thing that I actually want to get into that I absolutely loved with this episode, that we actually got some flashbacks to what happened with the Hellfire Club and the Inner Circle and all that stuff. So we actually learn that the Inner Circle, like the board members, they were actually very, very reluctant to allow Lorna and Andy into the Hellfire Club because they point out, this is a child, this is a pregnant, unstable mutant. But Reva, even tells them, Polaris, mutants like her only come once in a lifetime, and she proceeds to use her powers, and her powers, from what I can see, whenever she sings very high pitched, I can tell that her powers act similarly to Black Bolt's from the comics. And Black Bolt, if you guys know anything about Black Bolt, his power is completely out of control. He can't even speak. So I'm happy to see that Reva actually has a lot more control over her powers than Black Bolt, because Black Bolt, he just oh my god. So next thing you know, we actually learned that the Mutant Underground is working on helping out mutants in DC during those 6 months, and it's actually really nice to see them all working together, working as one oiled machine, seeing Caitlin actually working in a hospital. It's actually a huge step up. The place where they're living now is actually a huge step up from the last headquarters, and I absolutely loved seeing them all working together, coming together, acting like X-Men. This is why I watch this show. This is what I come here for. And I absolutely loved Marcos in this whole entire episode. He even mentions, we're gonna go and speak to this mutant named Wire. Now, I couldn't find a photo of him online anywhere for anything, but I can tell you guys right now, I hope we do not see the character Wire ever again on this show. I'm hoping that we don't see him too much again, anytime soon, just because, I don't know what it is, but I don't like this guy. There's just something about him that I do not like. And when Marcos told Caitlin, go ahead and shoot him, I was like, yes, thank you, please and thank you. Okay, so next thing you know, we actually see that the Cuckoos and Sage are working on blackmailing this guy to give Lorna a space for when she is pregnant. And I knew that Sage was just going to jump ship from the Mutant Underground and join the Hellfire Club, because she was actually a member of the Hellfire Club in the comics. So when she jumped ship at the end of last season, was I surprised? No, I really wasn't surprised when Sage and Andy jumped ship, because let's face it, I wasn't surprised. I don't think anybody was shocked when Sage and Andy decided to jump ship and join the Hellfire Club, Inner Circle, whatever you want to call it. And there are lots of Easter eggs for the Inner Circle and members of the Inner Circle. And the way how Reva talks about members of the Inner Circle in this episode, it's almost as though they are kind of in a way referencing the Inner Circle / Hellfire Club from the X-Men First Class movie without actually naming names. So they're not naming Magneto, they're not naming Emma Frost, they're not naming Sebastian Shaw, they're not naming Azazel. They're not dropping any names in particular for members of the Hellfire Club, and I actually think I prefer it that way, that they save that for a later time and leave us kind of surprised when they bring it up later. But I am still kind of secretly hoping for Ian McKellen to show up on this show, because I think that would be a dream for anybody, or even just Anna Paquin, since, Stephen Moyer is married to Anna Paquin. And next point that I actually do kind of want to hit is Reed's powers manifesting. Now, Reed's powers, from what I can tell, he's trying to suppress them using drugs that are in the hospital that Caitlin works at, that he's hiding out of, and pretty much everybody in Georgia and Atlanta thinks that they're dead, and they're hiding out in DC. So, like, I knew in a way that they were not going to stay in Georgia. I knew they were going to move somewhere. But to know that they're not, like, now living in DC, which is where they tracked the Hellfire Club, like, that's actually pretty cool to see, too. But the thing is that with Reed's powers, what I've noticed with them is that the coloring of it and the way how it's, like, coming out of his hands, it looks to be some type of energy blast that is similar to the Summers family, like Scott Summers, Havoc, like Scott Summers, Gabriel Summers, and Alex Summers, like the three Summers brothers, because their powers is like energy blasts, kind of similar to Marco's. So when I saw Reed's powers, I was like, oh my gosh, like, when are they gonna come? But then I find out he's suppressing them with drugs, and I'm just like, oh great, I hope they don't turn Reed into a drug addict in this show. Like, I just hope and pray that that's not what they end up doing. And then I think the last thing I actually want to cover is Polaris giving birth to her baby, and I think everyone pretty much caught on to the fact that her baby is going to be named Dawn. Like, when they released that trailer saying, you know, Dawn of a New Age, I knew in a way that the baby was going to be a girl and it was going to be named Dawn, so it didn't really surprise me there too much, either the name of Polaris and Marcos's baby. But we find out that Polaris is actually, like, a lot more unstable when she's giving birth. So the Cuckoos actually hook up into her mind and give her, like, a picture of what their future can look like when the Hellfire Club is on top. And that is something that I'm hoping and praying that we don't really have to see. Like, I love all the characters that are in the Hellfire Club, but I'm secretly hoping and praying that they don't win this season, just because, you know, they're being the Magnetos of the whole entire season, while the Mutant Underground is essentially like Professor X. So you can definitely say that in terms of, like, what side I'm picking, I'm siding with the Mutant Underground in this show. So I don't really have too many complaints about this episode, because it was actually really solid. Alright guys, let me know down below in the comments what you thought of this episode. I will try to be back next week with the review, but it's hard being a full-time college student with afternoon classes and needing to focus on schoolwork, but I will try to do review episodes for the season. I don't know if I'm going to be covering every single episode, but I will try to cover as many as I possibly can. Just know that I will be watching weekly. Alright everyone, that is all for today, and I will be back next week with more. Bye everyone!